Good afternoon. Our lineup on the big match today as we come to the last 2 full weeks of the season. At the top of the second division, Manchester City step out at Main Road knowing that a victory over neighbours Oldham Athletic would virtually put them back in the first division. At Luton, the pre-match entertainment aimed to create an optimistic atmosphere as their team went searching for survival points against Arsenal. And Arsenal's future will stand by for manager Don Howe to spell it out in the strongest possible terms. First, though, to Main Road, Manchester City against Oldham Athletic, commentator Peter Brackley.
Manager Billy McNeill shares the tension here at Main Road and the feeling that City's destiny could well hinge on the next 3 days. A big demanding crowd hoping City can settle promotion before their final game, when at least 5 first-choice players will be missing through injuries and suspension. McNeill describes City's casualty list indeed as the worst he's experienced in his career. Gordon Smith and Jim Tolmie, the latest victims. Smith with a painful bone infection and Tolmie with an ulcer problem. Neil McNabb comes into midfield and Tolmie's place up front goes to Jamie Hoyland, who's been playing in defence for the reserves. There'll be no favours certainly from an Oldham side containing 3 former Manchester City players and managed of course by another in Joe Royle. They field the side that beat Crystal Palace last week, goalkeeper Andy Gorham having recovered from a bout of flu. Today's referee is the man who will take charge of this season's FA Cup final, Peter Willis of County Durham. A great atmosphere on a damp and miserable afternoon in Manchester as Manchester City in the all-blue strip kick off, attacking the goal to our right. Just a couple of weeks ago, the critics were saying it would take a miracle for City to go up, but the pendulum has swung back in their favour, and promotion now, quite simply, is in their own hands. And Oldham will be determined to make it so difficult for them. Henry with the attempted clearance there. There's Hoyland. Simpson couldn't direct his header on target. What a revelation he's been in the last few matches, Paul Simpson. And what price can you put, said Billy McNeill, on his winning goal at Portsmouth last week? Ward has been having an excellent season. He's held back then by Andy May. And I think there's going to be a caution for the City player. Peter Willis, aware that he's got to assert his authority in the early stages, and that'll be a booking for Andy May. Hooligan with the free kick. Donner is well forward, challenging into the area there. There's Hoyland. Kinsey chasing, and Hooligan showing all his experience. Oldham's longest-serving player, Gary Hooligan. Powerful header by McCarthy. Here's Parker. Now Ward. Support here from Donachie. And as a left-back, of course, in his days at Manchester City, Willie Donachie, but operating at right-back now for Oldham. The referee allowing the advantage. Now could City make good use of it? Hoyland trying to thread it through. Parker. Barlow. Clements had checked his run. But Oldham win the corner from young Andy Barlow. And Oldham will send Hooligan forward. And McDonough, the other central defender, is outside the penalty area. And Hoyland has come back to check his run. The corner was a poor one. Ward again. Half away by McCarthy. Simpson couldn't complete the job. Maguire to Quinn. And Oldham giving notice they certainly haven't come here with intention of just defending. Maguire for Quinn. Palmer, it's a chance, good save. Just over the bar then from Henry. Palmer denied initially. But Oldham very close indeed to a goal there. City failing to get the ball away. Palmer turned extremely well. Marvellous save there by Williams, and Henry heading over the bar. Oldham playing with a fair amount of confidence the first 20 minutes or so. They could be under pressure here. A lovely ball laid off then by Hoyland. McNabb's cross in. Oh, Simpson couldn't convert it. But a lovely flowing move then from City. Hoyland sent McNabb away, and watch for Simpson coming in here. And he showed his finishing power in recent matches, but not on this occasion. Off goes Quinn. Clements was in first. Hoyland the target here. If he and Hooligan would deceive the flight of the ball. Good layoff then by Simpson. Now then for Power. May. Power in support. Good cross in. Hoyland. All put down well. Oh, Jamie Hoyland. What a goal that would have been for him. And then he had one full league game before. Didn't know he was playing till late on. The various injuries they've had to contend with, and how close he was. McDonough. So fortunate then for Oldham. He was in the way. Hoyland has gone down. Play going on. This is Quinn. Still Hoyland is prostrate just outside the centre circle. He doesn't look at all happy. The crowd whistling. And Peter Willis has stopped play now, quite rightly too. And that was a painful knock then for young Jamie Hoyland. The City players there protesting about the tackle. In fact, I think I saw a caution for Andy May. And in fact, he has been sent off. Well, clearly something must have been said. That's my only reading of the situation there. So Andy May has been sent off by the referee, presumably for something that he said, complaining about the tackle in which Hoyland was hurt. There's Billy McNeil there, just trying to find out what happened. And clearly he said something out of turn. Well, here's the tackle that clearly upset Manchester City and left Jamie Hoyland injured. The tackle coming in there rather late from Hooligan. There's Hoyland still limping, so City down to 10 men. And real controversy here at Main Road. Just a minute from half-time. Well, City always knew it was going to be difficult today. And it's certainly proving that. And their task that much more hard now. The boos all around Main Road. And Billy McNeil will have to lift his side at half-time. Well, the half-time whistle has gone. And you can hear the reaction of the crowd here. Andy May is sent off towards the end of the first half. Billy McNeil goes off to rally the troops. And all stemming from an incident involving Jamie Hoyland. And Andy May, you can see there by the referee, has clearly taken an aim and now is sending him off. And there's the man in the middle of the controversy, Peter Willis. And the half-time score is 0-0. Hoyland has gone off. Substitute Lomax is on. And Peter Willis, who kept such a tight control on things early on, has got a job on now to keep a grip on this game. McNabb. Lomax trying to thread the ball through. Crowd still debating the sending off of Andy May. And what started off as a difficult game for Manchester City has become increasingly so now. Although, as so often happens, a team with 10 men tend to fight that little bit harder than one with 11. So this game is far from lost. Gary Hooligan, who was involved in the controversial incident just before the sending off, his tackle on Jamie Hoyland. Power, Simpson, glorious turn. The referee allowing play to go on, hoping to allow City the advantage. Kinsey, Henry stood firm. Smart piece of play though by Simpson. Phillips trotting over to take the kick. Now could City vary the set piece here? Free header really for McDonough. Simpson showing his strength there to withstand the challenge. Off goes Phillips. Al McCarthy. Simpson. Good first time ball played in. Positive piece of play there. A young Paul Simpson. Ball going right across the area. No one could apply the finishing touch. Now Donachie. Power in trouble. It's been spoken to by Peter Willis. Number 2 is Mark Ward. We've had 1 or 2 set twos this afternoon. Arlo with the free kick. Williams couldn't reach it, and a goal. No, the whistle's gone. McDonough headed it in. The whistle gone anyway, presumably for a foul then on Williams, who came and didn't collect. Bit of disappointment for McDonough. The whistle clearly gone. Barlow's free kick. Williams comes out for it here. Now, was he pushed? Well, it certainly there was a leg into it there. McDonough. Got an elbow or an arm in the face. McDonough has stayed down. Peter Willis has just checked to see if he's all right. He certainly isn't. And the referee now will hold up play for attention to Darren McDonough. A clash with Kinsey. Here we can see Kinsey. How is he aware of McDonough's presence? A big climb then by McDonough. And Kinsey caught him. And Darren McDonough is clearly in no condition to continue. So John Bowden, who's Mr. Versatility really at Oldham, is coming on. Maguire. Parker's header, but straight to McNabb. There's Maguire. There's certainly been a steadying influence in midfield since he's arrived at Oldham. Came from Barnsley back in January. Kinsey. Now Clements. Clever play. McNabb. Here's Phillips. Came off Gorham. Just managed to get a hand to it. He has, as we all know, a very powerful shot, this man, David Phillips. Scored some explosive goals this season. He had time for the shot there. Gorham rather fumbled it. It's Powell with the corner. Reid has come forward this time. Gorham, he's got it. He's a man in form, Andy Gorham. Well, it's all over. No goals. Bitter disappointment for Manchester City. The man there at the centre of the controversy, Peter Willis, who sent off Andy May towards the end of the first half. Billy McNeil, well, a bitterly disappointing afternoon for him. City really are determined to make it hard for themselves. The point, well, I suppose it edges them a little closer to the First Division, but they're certainly not there yet. 2 games to go. I wonder, will they make it now? Battling performance by Oldham, all credit to them. The final score at Main Road is Manchester City 0, Oldham 0.
Yes, a goalless draw there, and just confirming that Andy May was in fact sent off for foul and abusive language, having already been booked. Well, let's look at the top of the table, and a victory for Portsmouth at Blackburn. Well, that in a way has opened things up again for that last promotion place. Birmingham made sure of joining Oxford in the First Division next season by beating Cardiff, so congratulations to Ron Saunders' men. But I suppose any other of those teams could make that last place. Clearly, though, Manchester City still remain the favourites, with games to come at Notts County tomorrow and then at home to Charlton next Saturday. Coming next, Luton against Arsenal from the First Division. That's after the break. Welcome back. And now it's Luton Town against Arsenal. Luton still lingering close to the relegation area. Arsenal seeking points that would give them a place in the UEFA Cup next season. Our commentator at Kenilworth Road, Martin Tyler.
Mick Harford's return from suspension is much welcomed by Luton's manager David Pleat, who believes that Harford's 12 goals in 16 First Division games deserved consideration when Bobby Robson was searching last week for a deputy for Mark Hateley. Paul Mariner, though, got that job in Romania, and it was Mariner's winning goal against Sheffield Wednesday last Saturday that kept alive Arsenal's ambitions of qualifying for Europe. Again, Arsenal are without Tony Woodcock, and today Steve Williams starts a 2-match ban, so Ian Allinson comes into midfield, and Charlie Nicholas continues in the striking role that he prefers. It's the Luton lineup that was undoubtedly strengthened by the mid-season signings of Steve Foster, David Priest, Harford and Peter Nicholas, who was an Arsenal player for 3 years. But both Ricky Hill and Brian Steen have still to decide whether to stay here next season. Today's referee is Neville Ashley from Nantwich. It's Arsenal then who kick off, with Luton beginning a hectic programme of 4 games in 8 days, which will surely decide whether or not they will be in the First Division next season. Plenty to play for then here, with Arsenal running out of games, but with points in the bag towards a European place. Ricky Hill, who passed a late fitness test on a tendon problem. It's a greasy surface, slickened by early morning rain. The drizzle still a problem for the crowd on the terraces. 1 or 2 umbrellas in evidence. The player fouled Stuart Robson. If there has been one shining disappointment for Arsenal this season, it's been their away form. They just haven't been able to score goals away from Highbury. Particularly over the second part of the season. David O'Leary doing the defending. And here's Brian Steen. Joby, Hill and Harford in the middle, and Harford! He's done it again! No wonder David Pleat is singing his praises, and he relishes the fight at the bottom of the First Division. It's the 4th season in a row that Mick Harford has been in a struggling side at this stage of the season, but he responds with goals. Inside the second minute, and the start that Luton Town were dreaming of. And Mick Harford off the mark straight away. 13 goals for Harford now, and this is his 17th game since joining Luton from Birmingham City. Totally beaten by the header, and now Steve Foster and company have a lead to defend. Over Thomas, and over Mariner as well, but it's an Arsenal throw. Taken quickly by Robson for Allinson. Met solidly by Foster, and then Steen and Harford. Luton wanted an offside, but quite rightly the flag stayed down. Priest battling hard, and Nicholas. And here's Charlie Nicholas in space, in behind Donaghy. He's had quite a long spell this season, playing behind the front two. But he does prefer to be played as a genuine striker. His sense for an opening showed then, although he couldn't provide the finish. The last thing Don Howe wanted for his side here was to concede an early goal. Hill, plenty of movement ahead of him from Luton. Allinson. Increase. So busy in this opening phase of the match. Harford and Steen completely unmarked. Clean in at Lukic. And Wajobi finishes the job. What an emphatic beginning we're seeing here from Luton Town. 2 goals in the first 14 minutes. And Harford helping in the build-up this time, but how Arsenal allowed Steen that kind of room. Lukic did well to block the shot, but was helpless as Wajobi was there for the rebound. There's a problem with Tommy Caton for Arsenal, needing some treatment to a blooded nose, but the Luton Town supporters are as overjoyed as Don Howe must be bitterly disappointed. Peter Nicholas. Harford, who's everywhere at the moment. Nwajobi. You could see what was in his mind. He was trying to catch the goalkeeper coming off his line and loop the header over John Lukic, who is a tall man, 6'4". But a superb driven pass from Harford. And Lukic, though, able to make a comfortable save from Nwajobi. Well, if this is the way that the Luton players respond to a morning kickoff, they may be playing more games earlier in the day at Kenilworth Road. Talbot. Charlie Nicholas. Well, even in a difficult situation for his team, he always has the capacity to entertain. It was an impish piece of close control and a low shot that was wide of Seeley, but wide of the goalkeeper's right-hand post. Robson. Mariner. Peter Nicholas biting in again. Luton a yard quicker than Arsenal at the moment. Caton, straight to Steen. He probably had a little bit more time than he realised. But John Lukic must be wondering if his defence have stayed in bed. They're giving the ball away so unnecessarily. Was Caton the culprit on that occasion? But Steen, trying to take it quickly, got underneath the shot. Arsenal are making their substitution. Tommy Caton has gone off after that facial injury. And Paul Davis, with 22 minutes remaining in the first half, comes on. Peter Nicholas, Steen, Priest, left unattended. Harford waiting unmarked at the far post, and Anderson ruled that he handled intentionally. He was very close to David Priest. Luton have put players in the Arsenal wall. It's Foster's shot. And his header, and Steen, and Nwajobi. The goal was open. After Foster had knocked the ball down perfectly for Steen. Good block by Lukic. And Nwajobi put it wide when the net was beckoning. And it really should have been 3-0. Nwajobi. Here's Priest. Steen and Harford trying to stay onside. Thomas. And Robson has to concede the corner. Taken by Priest. And Foster climbed high above Mariner. Talbot wanted too long. And Steen, with the goalkeeper colliding with him intentionally, was the way the crowd saw it. John Lukic had his eye on the ball. And referee Neville Ashley has gone across to talk to the linesman. The ball is on the penalty spot. Foster has tucked it away, but that won't count yet. And Lukic concedes the penalty. The ball had looped up high, and Lukic was straying far from home to try and claim it. Now Harford scored a penalty against Manchester United here recently. He has the job again. And he scores again! It was the same technique he employed against Gary Bailey. And Lukic went the wrong way. Harford second, Luton's third. And a 3-goal cushion 5 minutes into the second half. Allinson. Luton's caught for a moment, still celebrating. And Seeley needing a second bite at it. Paul Davis was the Arsenal player trying to meet the cross. And it's a penalty here. It was a short throw out to Thomas, who wasn't ready, and then Allinson went down. And it's Arsenal who have the penalty now with Charlie Nicholas. Straight down the middle, 3-1. Arsenal have a poor track record with penalties this season, but Nicholas made no mistake. What difference will that make? Harford. Has it given Arsenal some semblance of a lifeline here? Steve. Lukic started to come and hesitated. Sansom sold him short in the end. And the goalkeeper redeemed the situation from Nwajobi. Characteristically underhit by Sansom. Ricks. Nicholas. Easily past Foster. Ricks. Davis is unmarked in the middle. And that was desperately close. And Luton could have been punished for a lack of concentration then. Paul Davis with a header that just drifted wide.
What a 3-1 victory then for Luton. A timely one too, because every team beneath them lost yesterday. Stoke down, Sunderland almost doomed. It's still anybody's guess who'll also go down. One crucial game tomorrow, though, clearly is West Ham against Norwich City at Upton Park. Well, Arsenal certainly lost ground in that race for a place in Europe. Overall, it was a poor performance by them. From the moment Mick Harford scored that quick goal for Luton, in fact, they never really looked in it. And manager Don Howe was in a pretty prickly mood after the game.
We started off absolutely abysmal. I mean, they get a goal after a couple of minutes, and good luck to them. That's what it's about. I mean, you warn them of the dangers of the first 10 minutes. I think it's an old saying in football management, watch the first 10 minutes. They get down the left wing, and Priest gets a crossing, and Hartford and a couple of more players are in there, and it looks as though we're not going for it, and the ball's in the net. So it's a great start for them and a poor start for us.
Do you question the attitude of your players?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Very much so. You know, a set of players at this great club, the Arsenal Football Club, if 11 players, I mean, they've got a chance of being in Europe, and we've talked about Europe. I mean, being in Europe makes your season as a player and as a manager more interesting, because you're going to get drawn against the best teams in Europe. So you'd think they'd lay their life down to get into Europe. But you can see then that first half, they weren't really bothered. I think half of them were asleep.
I was going to say, does that go for the whole team, or have you picked on individuals in the dressing room?
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't pick on individuals here.
But there is a lot of talk about your highly paid international stars.
That's right, well, and that's true, that's right. You know, if you are paying people a lot of money to perform, and I would think it's the same in show business or anything else, they've got to perform week in, week out, day in, day out. And we are so erratic and so inconsistent. There ain't one player in that dressing room going to get a better club than the Arsenal Football Club. So, you know, it makes you wonder really what they're after.
But they've let you down today,
You've got to remove them. You've got to remove them. We have to work to remove them. if they want to perform and give and do a job, smash it. That's great. That's what it should be about. Week in, week out, home and away. That's what we want. That's what this club's got to have.
But what can you do in the way of punishment, if you like, for players who don't perform, as obviously
well, the ideal thing really would be to fine them quite heavily, but we're not allowed to do that because they haven't done their money out there today, have they? You know,
I think a lot of people would have thought that, yeah.
Well, that's right. I mean, they really should be embarrassed to go and pick their money up next Thursday, and I've told them that. And I have to go along the line. I should be embarrassed about picking my money up. I mean, let's get it right. It'll always come down to me in the end as well, and rightly so. Because I'm the bloke who makes the decisions. I'm the bloke who has to get them to perform. But sometimes I just wish we could be a little bit stronger now with players. You know, I think life is too comfortable for them. I think there's inconsistencies in the game. And not only at the Arsenal, I think it's in lots of clubs.
Fascinating stuff. Don Howe then really putting the record straight to Martin Tyler. Well, that's it for this week. Don then pretty unhappy with that Arsenal performance. Unlike Luton's manager David Pleat, delighted with the points, of course, and afterwards he laid it on the line about his striker, Mick Harford, a striker seeking to catch the eye of Bobby Robson. Good afternoon.
In the last 15 games, he has been, and I don't like to praise people too much or too many superlatives, he has been the best centre-forward in the First Division over the last 3 months.
Joby, Hill and Harford in the middle, and Harford! No wonder David Pleat is singing his praises.